Good afternoon, students. And so today I'm going to go over the 5-paragraph essay structure again. And I know in my other video, I also covered the 5-paragraph essay structure, in which I talked about how the 5-paragraph essay structure could be used in other kinds of communications. But in this video, I'm simply just going to go over what is the 5-paragraph essay structure. So without further ado, and it's based on my first book, Write Like a Pro, and the 5-paragraph essay formula. So here goes the on what is the 5-paragraph essay structure. And so the architecture of clear communications. And so it's a myth to think that the 5-paragraph essay structure is only for research papers. Actually, writing is less like sculpting marble and more like assembling modular furniture, a rigid structural blueprint that transforms the blank page into a manageable sequence of events. And so when we write the writing process, first you have your outline, in other words, the blueprint. You define your 5-box skeleton first, and you write your thesis and your outline. And so when you write your outline, that's also known as pre-writing. And then after you do your pre-writing, that's one sitting, and then you work for 20 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then you come back and you convert that outline into your rough draft. And so that would be your second sitting. That's the writing stage of the writing process. And when you convert the outline into your rough draft, that's when you convert it into a 5-paragraph essay. Then after you write your essay, you revise your essay first, and that's known as rewriting. So first pre-writing, writing, rewriting. And in the rewriting stage, you first check to make sure your essay structure is solid, and then you check for grammar. And then you take another break. Never try to do all of your paper in one sitting. And so the structural blueprint of the 5-paragraph essay, kind of like a hamburger, where the introduction and the conclusion are like the two buns of the hamburger, and then the meat of your essay is your 3-body paragraphs. And so the top bun in the introduction, where you first introduce the essay and you tell the reader exactly what the essay is going to be about. And then the meat of your essay is going to be your 3-body paragraphs that justify, describe, and back up your thesis statement. And then in your conclusion, you summarize your paper. So like I said in the other video, when we write business letters, the main difference is in the conclusion. In a business letter, in the conclusion, it's call to action, whereas in a research paper, which this is the structure for a research paper, it's a summary paragraph, conclusion paragraph. When we write the essay, it's like an upside down triangle because you start out really, really vague with your hook. Have you ever gone skiing? Or it's the first sentence. The hook is the first sentence that grabs the reader's attention. Then you write 5 background sentences in which you give context to why you chose this subject. And then you have your thesis statement. So you get more and more and more specific. And this is known as the funnel introduction paragraph, where the thesis statement sits as the last sentence of the first paragraph. Your thesis statement is the structural anchor, the absolute last sentence of the introduction. And it is also the summary of all 3 of your body paragraphs. And then there are many different ways in which you can start your essay. So like I said, the hook is the very first sentence that grabs the reader's attention. So there are 3 kinds of hooks. You've got the anecdotal hook, where you start a story. You have a startling statistic, where you give an unusual fact. And you have a rhetorical question. Have you ever gone skiing before? Have you ever gone whatever? And then this hooks the reader into your essay. It makes the reader want to read more. Then when you write your thesis statement formula is going to be topic plus opinion plus 3 reasons. So that's the ultimate roadmap. And so all of this is in Write Like a Pro Part 1. And it's available on Amazon. And if you're in my LAPU class, it's available in the Week 5 forum, in which I put all of the, the books for free. So you don't have to buy it. And I also think that some of the Kindle version of my books are also free as well. So anyway, so first you have the topic. So what is the paper about? So let's say you want to use gun control. And then opinion, should be or should not be regulated, equals what are the reasons why you think gun control should either be regulated or not regulated. So topic would be gun control, opinion would be should or should not be regulated, and then you give your 3 reasons to back up your opinion of why you think gun control should or should not be regulated. And you got to make sure that your thesis statement is debatable. You should avoid thesis statements that just state a fact, like you need 8 hours of sleep or something like that, because there's nothing debatable about it. It's something that you can agree or disagree. And so an ineffective thesis statement is if you give a thesis statement with no reasons. So this paper will discuss the main themes in Hamlet, such as revenge and madness. And that's ineffective. The Great Gatsby uses the green light, the gray wasteland, and a yellow car. But a better and more effective thesis statement uses active rhetorical verbs, challenges, subverts, reveals to frame an intellectual intervention. In other words, it shows cause and effect. Because Fitzgerald, that's the author, employs the seductive symbolism of the green light, he exploits the visual contrast of the gray wasteland to argue that the American dream is corrupted. So this shows cause, effect, and relationship. And then when you write your body paragraphs, and then you write the main idea is the topic sentence, and then you give your information in the middle of that's your supporting sentences, and then you have your conclusion sentence, which then links to the next paragraph. Diversifying, and so there are different kinds of body paragraphs. In other words, there are different ways in which you can present your credible evidence to back up your claim. You can, and each of these different kinds of evidence. This is, you're going to learn more in English 105. For those of you in LAPU, this is English 105, okay? We're going to do more about ethos, pathos, and logos. Logos is the appeal to logic. Ethos is the appeal to credibility, and pathos is the appeal to emotion. And so you can appeal to logic by having statistics in your evidence. You can appeal to ethos by talking about experts in the field, like Dr. Smith claims that such and such scientific fact. And then pathos is like case studies. You humanize, you appeal to the emotion by humanizing. And this is where you can get creative. This is when you use the pathos type of body paragraph. This I mentioned in Write Like a Pro Part 3, where I talk about how can I add creative writing into my 5-paragraph essay structure. Write Like a Pro number 2 is simply how you can use the 5-paragraph essay structure across all different kinds of communication. And then Write Like a Pro Part 1 is simply what is the 5-paragraph essay. And so here you you do the structural fulcrum. In other words, you do intellectual judo. This isn't a detour, it's a preemptive shield. By anticipating readers' objections, okay, this is all about, this is English 105 also. So if you're in English 101, you don't have to do this. But in English 105, I'm going to be teaching you how to write a counter-argument paragraph and a rebuttal paragraph. And when you write a counter-argument paragraph, you want to talk about what the other side thinks. And you're taking a detour from your normal, argument. So for example, if my thesis statement is smoking is bad for one's health because it causes cancer, then the other side, okay, would be, the counter argument would be, some people think that smoking is glamorous. Young people think that if they light up, they look more adult and glamorous because that's what they do in the movies. All right. And then you take a sharp U-turn in your rebuttal where you come back and say, however, or in reality, smoking is bad for your health. And then in that way, you dismantle the other side's argument that smoking is glamorous when it's not. And so you use however, right? Here's the turn, the fulcrum here, in order to turn it around to your, and I will be teaching you how you do this. How do you input a counter-argument paragraph and a rebuttal paragraph into your 5-paragraph essay? There are many different ways to do that. And I will teach that to you in English 105. And then you always, when you write your conclusion paragraph, you restate the thesis statement or the roadmap as the first sentence. Then you summarize the high points of your essay without adding new information. And then you find the final impact is you tell the reader what to do next. So that's very similar to a call to action summary. Sorry, it's a call to action conclusion paragraph. And then this tells you how you can use the 5-paragraph essay structure in a business proposal, in cover letters, and it's not just your research essay and then you take English 101 and you forget about 5-paragraph essay like you never learned it. Kind of like when people take a test and then forget everything afterwards. You can use the 5-paragraph essay when you write a business proposal where or the first half, you state the problem, and then the second half of the essay, you state the solution. And then the final call to action in the conclusion, hire me. I'm the answer to all your problems. If your company pays big bucks, hire me. Okay, that's the business proposal. Same thing with the cover letter. You in the thesis statement, you want to prove that I am the one that is fit for this job. I'm the best one for this job because, and then you list your accomplishments. In your body paragraphs, you list your accomplishments, your skills. How much value did you bring to the company? My team allowed the company to make 95% more in revenue than without me leading the team. If you're a teacher, you would say, I have a 99% student retention rate. And so I'm worth it, and therefore hire me for the job. That would be the conclusion. Call to action, hire me. Okay. So then the quality control blueprint, a 3-stage inspection. And so this means that you're going to correct. You got to make sure after you write your essay that your essay is correct. You can use Grammarly. You can use ChatGPT for this. But the thing is, if you're going to use ChatGPT, you need to, in the prompt, you need to tell it not to rewrite your sentences. If you want to maintain your voice and not sound robotic, you have to tell ChatGPT to just only correct your grammar only or your punctuation only, and don't change your words. That's how you maintain your voice. And I talk about how to maintain or even discover what your writing voice is, and that's beyond the scope of this discussion. That's in Write Like a Pro Part 4. 3 and the end of part 3, and then all of part 4. So always check for your essay structure first before you, you know, correct the edit for your essay, edit the grammar, that is. I think that's it. Yeah, because the last step in the writing process is the revision or the rewrite. And so in a nutshell, that was Write Like a Pro part 1 and Write Like a Pro part 2. Yeah. And so tomorrow, if I have time, I will create the video for Write Like a Pro part 3. And in other words, each video for each day, that kind of stuff. Even I have a limit as to how many videos I can make in a day. So I wrote 5 books, but I only have the time today to just do 2 or 3 of them. But you get the main idea. And so if you have any questions, feel free to email me at any time. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the Professor H Writing channel. I always have to look for the stop button. Oh, there it is. So everybody have a great week.